Hello everyone, thank you for checking in with Uncle Brad. The name of my channel now is The Traditional Archery Journey. That's what I'm on. And guess what we're all on probably? It's a journey. Every day is a learning experience and an opportunity. So, welcome. Today, I'm going to talk about arrow spine. I'm going to kind of piggyback on my last video when I spine tested 25 different shafts. And we found some shafts that spine really well, and we found some that were within industry standard, some that were outside of industry standard, and we found one shaft that was way outside of industry standard. It was 45 thousandths weak, and that was the Easton Whiteout, which I discussed that in my spine testing arrows on what happened there. But anyway, what this video is about is to try to give you guys some direction on ordering new arrows. And there's a ton of videos out there about it, and I see a lot of them, and they just put down a hard and fast rule, that if you're shooting 40 pounds, 35 to 40 pounds, and your draw length's 28, 600 spine. If you're shooting 40 to 45 and your draw length's 28, it's 500 spine. If you're shooting 45 to 50 and your draw length's 28, maybe 400. Well, those are some pretty broad, in my opinion, rules of thumb. There's a lot of factors that come into it. Obviously, draw length is one of them. If you're drawing more than 28 inches, it's going to be different. Case in point, I bought these Easton Sonic 600s for my 3D rig. My Uka white feather laying right there. And when I got them, cut them down. Let's see, what are these? These are 28 and 5/8 carbon to carbon, and they flew like darts. Well, then I discovered something. I knew I was chicken winging. I decided to do something about it. I found out this draw length draw check, which that's another video I've got out there when I explain this, is how I move my feathers. You can see this is the way I used to fletch them, just all the way towards the back. Well, I moved them up about 3/4 of an inch. So I touched that cock feather to my nose, and it gets me in alignment. Added about 3/4 of an inch to my draw length also. So after I did that, then these arrows won't fly. They're too weak. So I got to rummaging around in the pile over here, and I found some old Easton Hyperspeeds 500. So bam, that's what I had to go with. And these are 29.5 carbon to carbon, 100 grains up front. 100 grains up front was where I was running in those 600 grain or 600 spine Sonics. So I had to change, and I was right there on the edge. The 600s were working at 28.25, but at 29 they weren't. So there's a lot of factors: how much weight you're going to run up front, what you put on the back of the arrow. In my experience, point weight, you got to really make a pretty good jump in point weight to really see a difference. Like I'm saying, like 75 grains. If you're needing to weaken up a shaft, you're going to have to go from like 2.25 to 300, or 125 to 200. 75 grain jump before I've seen any difference with mine. Another thing is your riser. Is it cut to center? Is it cut 3/16 past center, an 1/8 past center, whatever? Those things affect it. Just like building out your side plate, building it out, taking it back in. All these things affect the spine of the arrow and how it reacts upon the shot. So in addition to that, it also depends on arrow diameter. I got a 4mm right here, 6mm right here, and standard 6.5, 246 right there. So this has got to matter too to how the arrow reacts. If your riser being cut to center or past center makes a difference, that's got to make a difference as well, because the center line of the arrow, that's what changes. With the center cut of your riser, the center line of the arrow changes, so that makes it different. You change the diameter of the shaft, it's the same thing, right? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. This is just me and me thinking. Hadn't seen anything about it, talked to anybody about it. Well, matter of fact, I have talked to a couple of people about it, and they said it didn't make any difference. But I don't necessarily agree with that. Occasionally, I do think, believe it or not. So this is my belief. Arrow diameter makes a difference. You know, your draw length, obviously. You know, if you're shooting 27-inch draw, you'll get away with a weaker spine. If you're shooting 29, you're gonna need probably a spine up, stiffer. So there's all these things to factor in that you need to think about. You back into your arrow, you can take wraps off to weaken them up. You can go smaller feathers to weaken them up. The less you've got back there, the weaker your shaft is going to be. The more you've got back there, the stiffer it's going to be. Here's another factor: gappers. You gappers out there, if you're using your arrow for your gap, you want that arrow as long as possible. You know, because if you cut them off short, just right in front of the riser, I mean, your point on is going to be 46 yards. You know, you don't want that when you go to a 3D shoot and your shots are 15 to 26 yards. You know, you're aiming down at the feet. So you want your arrow long. So hopefully you can get your point on down there around 25 or so. Maybe even a little less if possible. So that comes into play. You know, if you're wanting that full length arrow out there and everything says you need a 500 spine, you may need a 400, leaving that arrow full length. Hunting setups, you're going to load them up on the front end, 300 grains, 400 grains, whatever, you know, which I'm a firm believer in. We need to be heavy, 550 or above, minimum, I think. So if you're setting up a hunting rig and you're wanting to load it up like that, you're probably going to have to go a spine stiffer than what you think, and probably have to cut it off pretty short. You may have to jump 2 spines. I don't know. And then that way you still got some length, so you can use your arrow if you're gapping hunting too. So all these things have to be thought about. So my suggestion to y'all is, and most archery shops that I've been in, you can go in there and almost all of them will sell you 3 arrows. You know, maybe some of them will just sell you 1. I don't know. I think Lancaster, you can buy 1, maybe 1 at a time too. I don't know for sure. I hadn't checked that out, but I think that you can do that with Lancaster. But anyway, that's my suggestion. If you guys think you're going to be, by figuring all this out, and you think you're going to be 500 spine, get you a couple 600s, get you a couple 5s, get you a couple 4s. And then you got them. And you can check it out. And I also recommend making yourself a spine tester, like I did in my last video when I spine tested the arrows. There's a video out there by Z Man Outdoors. It's Z, the letter Z hyphen Man Outdoors. It's like 3 minutes and 40 seconds long. He teaches you how to make a spine tester. It costs you about 30 bucks. That beats the heck out of 300. So get you one of those, and then when you get these test arrows, you can check them. So say you're shooting a 500 spine arrow. All right, we need to check this. All right, what's it actually spining? Is it spining 505 or is it spining 525? Whatever, you know. So that way you know. Then when you decide to order new arrows, then you can check. You know, as long as you're within 20 thousandths, which is industry standard, you're going to be pretty good. You'll be able to fix it, you know, by cutting or adding a little point weight or taking a little point weight off, whatever. You know, you'll be close enough that you can make it work with all the different changes and adjustments you can make. For you heavy guys, you know, maybe get you a 5, a 4, and a 350. And for you guys that's shooting 50 or better, you know, get you a 4, a 350, a 300. That's my recommendation, is make a little investment on some test arrows and get a bunch of different point weights. I got this thing here. I got 65 all the way to 300s, and then I got 350s, 375s, and 400s in here, so I can check things out to make sure I'm close when it comes to time to order a new dozen arrows. So that's it, and that's that for today. Thank you for stopping in and taking time out of your day to watch. If you're subscribed, thank you very much. If you're not, I would really appreciate it if you would. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you didn't like it, if there's something I said that you don't agree with, please leave me a comment. Because like I said at the beginning of this is the traditional archery journey. And what I say is not the gospel. I'm learning here. And I'm speaking on my experiences. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, I don't know. But, you know, if you disagree, let me know. That's the way we learn. You know, we got to pay attention. So, again, thank you for checking in. Uncle Brad is out. And Uncle Brad says, be kind.